John.
Matt.
Great to be back at the Lightboard again.
I love it. Great technology, great use.
Absolutely. We wanted to talk here about some of our patching as a service. And actually, this particular customer, you and I had engaged early on just strictly voice.
Yeah.
It was a 20,000 seat opportunity, a hospital, 300 locations, where we were helping them move from like 14 different customer premise PBXs to our combination of both Microsoft Teams and some Webex calling, some UCaaS customer premise. But I thought what was interesting about this is, as you were working with them, is that you uncovered some patching opportunities. And I wanted to kind of use that, if you would, kind of explain what our patching as a service is.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. And to your point, we engaged in a voice project, but our goal at CBTS is to really understand the customer challenges. What are the business outcomes they're looking for? And so that's how voice becomes patching, right? We're there to solve challenges. So there's 4 key components that we're going to talk about with patching, and I think CBTS really marries these together very uniquely. So the first are obviously tools, right? When you would consider a technology, what are the things you do? How do you technically do it? And then we get to the 3 Ps, which are people and process, and that equals the progress. So we believe if we bring the right tools to the table that solve challenges uniquely, and we have the right people building out the right processes unique to your organization, because everybody patches differently, we're going to help make that process
But
or progress.
people have been patching forever, right, though?
Well, not really. They've been trying to patch forever. There's been a couple of different things. We'll talk about the old process of Patch Tuesday and just blindly sending patches, or we'll talk about ignoring this because we don't want to do it. We kind of consider it some janitorial work sort of thing.
That's always the term I use. People have looked at this as janitorial work, and what's happening is it's becoming cybersecurity work.
That's right. It is the importance is increasing daily. So let's start with tools, right? So the first concept here, we tell customers all the time, right? Your biggest weakness is what? The employee, right? Sure. Every employee is a firewall. So 10 years ago.
I love that statement.
Yeah, you have to defend the person first, right? Your attack surface is wherever Matt takes his laptop to. 10 years ago, you came into the office every day, and if you weren't in the office, what did you have to do on your laptop to get to your applications?
Got to log into my network.
Got to VPN in. Now, you work from home a lot, you travel a lot.
I go to Salesforce, I go to my ERP, I go to a lot of things that I'm not VPN in the network at all.
I can go 30 days without VPNing into the network, and I know some organizations can go even longer. So the first is, how do I get a patch onto a laptop if I'm not on the network? So this value statement starts with the CBTS cloud, where we have our patching servers, right? Where we have our tools. This is connected onto the internet.
Okay.
So we have an internet-facing relay.
So it's available no matter where I'm working from.
That's
home,
right.
Starbucks, etc.
So let's start with what is solving the biggest problem, right? We had mentioned that our biggest problem is my home user, my employee, right? So what we do, we load a little agent right there on the PC, and that now phones home. So when I connect to whatever my Wi-Fi signal is, right? Maybe I'm on my LTE, maybe I'm on Starbucks, maybe I'm on my home internet, I now am pulling my updates. And so we set our policies on this agent. So whether that's things like, I want you to restart as soon as I push the patch. I want to push my patches, they have 24 hours to restart, and if they don't within 24 hours, we're going to force the restart. Or maybe I want the patch to happen and restart after 8 p.m. because I know
how often does it check that?
It's going to check every time it phones home, right?
Okay.
So when I start up, I'm going to check and see. This is more of a push down to my agents, but it will then go through. It's in the agent. Do I have things waiting, right? So this is going to be a push, but the agent on the desktop is going to look and see, do I have things stored? Because Matt said delay, snooze.
And I've gotten those. Certain ones I've had to do right now, others I can do in the next 24 hours.
And all of those are customizable. And so when you talk about this healthcare organization, that's critical because they have a lot of different use cases. We want to patch immediately, but what happens if I start patching a laptop in the middle of a doctor's appointment with an inpatient and it's restarting, right? That's a problem. So we want certain ability to control certain things. Some employees, we want to force it. Some we want to give the option to snooze.
That's a tool that's available on the internet.
That's right.
And what about in-network? Is it also available in-network too? Or
So here's the challenge. You mentioned this 300-site hospital, right? And so they've got all of these branch locations, right? And maybe they've got some great big hospitals and maybe they've got some smaller hospitals. The concern becomes behind this, right? I still have all of these laptops.
Or even PCs or other devices.
Right, correct, yeah. So I've got computers. And maybe here, yeah, I've got server farms running. Well, what's the impact, right? So you mentioned you get this done at home. How long does this take? Some 2 minutes, 3 minutes, right?
Sure.
Now imagine that impact coming across the internet to all of these. So what we do...
In this case, there are some probably, how many thousands of
22,000 devices and about another 1,000 servers, right? And so these patch files can be decent sized. So what we want to do, however these all connect in, and we can talk specifically about their environment, but across this wide area network, and again, we can still connect this over internet. There are maybe a use case where you would want some private connectivity, but what we are going to do is put cache servers inside of this.
Basically in their network,
That's
whether
right.
it's in their data centers or whatever, but available to all of the locations via their WAN, their fiber, whatever that WAN looks like.
That's exactly right. So what we do is we're going to call these relays, or you may hear them referred to as distribution points, DPs, in the network.
Okay.
And so what happens is when a patch is sent, we are going to send it from our cloud rather than to one device over the internet to this agent. We're going to send it to the distribution points relay. So this particular customer has 230 distribution points inside of their network. And now when my PC fires up, I'm going to come across my LAN or WAN, depending on my design. Some customers just put relays in their data center. I've got 2 data centers, everybody connects back. It's up to you in the bandwidth. But these tools, this ability to patch off the network and this ability to put cache server relays inside the network is a huge benefit that helps organizations start to patch. Because in the past, I didn't VPN in, so I couldn't catch my patch, or I can't do a patch because it bogs down my network.
I got a lot of traffic, so I got ubiquitous coverage now no matter where I am, and I've solved the kind of problem of bandwidth getting to that on particular things. But that's not the biggest problem. Tools are a key to it, but talk to me about what you found then as far as kind of the process and what we brought to some rigor and governance with this group.
Yeah, so we've checked off the tools. CBTS has a great tool. Now here's what happens with my people. On these servers, I've got applications, right? That's what servers do. And there's application owners. And so I say, hey, Matt, I'm going to go ahead and take your application down Saturday at midnight. And you come back, and I said, well, I need you to be available, though, because if it doesn't come back up or if the patch breaks the application, what happens? And you say, wow, I've got a friend's wedding on Saturday. Don't patch.
That's kind of in the old world. The old world was it was being run by kind of janitorial process. Priorities was hard for internal IT organizations to get everybody on the same page of when we were going to do these patches.
That's right. And so what we do, we build out a full 12-month calendar, right? And so we go to an organization, we go to their change control board, we go to their CAB, and we say, hey, this is our patch schedule, primary and secondary, for the entire year.
For every device.
That's right. So we are going to lay out for them. Now, obviously, there's 0 days that may come, but now when you say, my server, my application, take me out of the patch window because I've got this friend's wedding on Saturday, not a problem, Matt. We'll see you next Saturday at midnight. And so we're patching this. This ability, us being able to build out the schedule to have a secondary fallback already pre-scheduled, is a huge benefit. The next is sometimes patches fail. And so the first time we patched for this hospital, 22,000 endpoints, we had 8 failures. We then come back and we report, right? So our project team, let's try the patch again. Why did it fail? Maybe it's a loss of connectivity. In their case, we had, I think, 3 PCs that were off, not connected at all, right? Then there were some that didn't have enough memory. They were older devices. They couldn't take the patch. And it was a signal for them, hey, we need to upgrade some of these devices in the network, right? They're running too low on RAM. Also on a server standpoint.
So part of this process is also then doing these patches, then reviewing with them the progress of it, what failed, what was successful, and to come back then and modify this process going forward.
Correct. So this team of people, this is a patching engineer, this is a project manager, this is a program manager.
Building a fully managed service with our staff.
That's right. You build out a year's worth of CAB windows. Yeah, you're not going to patch 1,000 servers in one window. This is some 50 to 60 different windows that have to get scheduled out across the year. So there's a lot of people work to be able to build that out. So I talked about our team of people building that. We talked about the process here of how we build out the cab windows. We talked about the process of trying to reinitiate a patch if it fails. We talked about the process of reporting back to customers. Here's why it failed. Here's the number of successful PCs or servers. We also build a process for virtual servers. So sometimes I may have, in their case, there was 8 golden images on their Citrix servers. And so we patch the golden images. That's 8 patches rather than the 800 servers that were behind it. So great cost savings. Again, that's focusing on the process, what's unique to each organization.
Yep.
And so what's the progress that we made? Well, for this organization on the first patch, so literally the first time all we did was 22,000 endpoints, we removed 700,000 critical vulnerabilities from the organization just by pushing one patch.
Just both patching and vulnerability scanning as we do this. Is that correct?
So we offer vulnerability scanning as a separate bolt-on. So
gotcha.
This is another piece of our flexibility. So in their case, they already had a vulnerability scanning tool that they trusted. We have other organizations who don't. And so when we do vulnerability scanning, again, certainly part of up here in this cloud. So we have our patching in here. We also do have vulnerability in here.
Regularized vulnerability scanning of devices,
That's right.
endpoints, etc.
Different tool that we use, but what I love about this, we follow this same people process. So the tool runs, we then go through and look at these critical vulnerabilities. What is the impact? What is the risk? And we start to prioritize for our customers. You'd be amazed how many things have 300,000 vulnerabilities, but if you solve one of them, 20,000 go away. And so we help them understand and create a program to get whole around those vulnerabilities. In their case, they had a tool they trusted. And so they came back to us and said, wow, our number just went down by 700,000. And we hadn't even gotten to the servers or the applications yet.
Yep.
The next progress we made, we offer a 95% SLA. Most of our customers in the enterprise space are patching somewhere less than 60% successfully.
That's what I thought I heard you tell me this was something like 65% or whatever. Yep.
We offer a 95% guarantee. That's our SLA on our patching story. For them, I think we were actually 99.1% is what we're averaging now, some 2 years into the patching side of it. The last piece here, what becomes important is we talked about how we patch servers. There's applications that we can patch. Some of them, you're more standard. Think of Adobe or your web browsers or your Microsoft apps. We do have a special license that helps us get deeper into some
applications.
80 to 100 off-the-shelf applications that we can help patch here as well. But here's the next piece. Again, back to people. At a site, we've got a branch. Well, what do you have at the branch? You've got a firewall.
Routers.
Right.
Switches.
We've got routers. You've got a LAN stack.
Yep.
Right. You've got wireless access points hanging off here, right? And then obviously we've already talked about like PCs, laptops. So what about these devices? These need to get patched as well, and there is no big fancy tool that pushes it out. And so this is where we bring the people in the process to be able to look at what is the plan. So maybe
on a regular basis to manually go in, get access to this network, and take a look at these devices.
That's right. So we're going to go through your Palo Alto firewall. We're going to go through the Palo Alto release notes, and we're going to look at what are the critical vulnerabilities, what needs patched, why is the vendor. Now, a firewall, again, this is different in a data center or a branch, but we'll probably want to patch this twice a year. 2 times a year, we're going to take this down. After hours, we're going to patch it. It's going to come back up. An edge router, we're probably going to do also twice a year. You are probably going to do your switches maybe more like 4 times a year because there's typically more bug fixes and enhancements. Our access points, we're probably going to do 4 times a year quarterly as well, right? So we work and build this whole schedule out. Again, we do your cabs. We take all of this into a fixed monthly fee. So let's say to do a branch, it's going to cost us $12,000 a year. We're going to bill you $1,000 a month. You have a fixed operating budget, and that way we don't get to July, you haven't patched yet, you need to patch, and you have to go to the business and ask for $12,000 in capital. It wasn't budgeted. We allow you to operationalize patching the same way that you would consume internet.
It's a great story.
We consume patching.
It's a great story.
And we've had a lot of success with this. The big difference here is this 95% SLA. Your biggest attack vector, we mentioned that every employee's a firewall. Your biggest weakness is the employees. patching is the easiest path in.
Well, we've seen it explode. I mean, this was 3 years ago. People weren't asking for this, and now our customers are coming to us asking for it. The channel's asking for it. So I think you did a great job kind of talking about what we do. I appreciate it. And, you know, as always in the channel, we'd love to meet with any prospects or customers you think might be interested.
Yep.
So
Talk to CBTS to help your customer make that progress.
there you go. I like that.